I'm J.R. Church. Welcome to today's analysis of the news. Yemen used to have a lot of Jews living there. But if you recall, back in the 1950s, the Jews seemingly were no longer welcome in that Arab country. That's the country of Yemen is right down at the south of Mecca, right where the Horn of Africa is across the Red Sea from the Arabian Peninsula. Well, that's where Yemen is located. And in the 1950s, because of Islamic terrorism, many of the Jews of Yemen fled to Israel. Well, according to this article, a chief rabbi in the district of Rida, Amran, brother of the victim, Moshe Yaish al-Nahari, said that he was aware about the departure of 3 sons of Moshe, most recently, adding all Jews in the area are preparing to leave for Israel within the next few days. Harassment has been stepped up against the Jews in the district of Amran and Karif, with some of the Jews killed and others kidnapped, he claimed. The sons of Moshe, whose murderer was sentenced to death in late June, have called their family, telling them that they are now in Israel. The remaining of the victim's family are his parents, wife, 4 brothers, and a sister, while his 3 daughters flew to Israel shortly after his killing last December. So far this year, some Jewish families have left for Israel, some of them secretly. Well, looks like the Muslims are not such friendly folks after all. But you know, for Jews living in Arab countries, they're all going to be going back home if they survive, because they are not welcome in Arab countries. Well, we need to pray for the Jews. They are persecuted right and left. It's a shame the way the world treats God's chosen people. But one of these days, when Jesus comes and has the judgment of the nations, his criteria for judging the nations will be, how did you treat the Jews? That's it. Matthew 25. Read it for yourself. Now, here's an interesting article. This comes from FT.com. Biology is approaching the Frankenstein moment, the creation of life from scratch. Sometimes within the next few months, scientists are likely to announce that they've made a living cell from chemical ingredients that can be bought off the shelf. How about that? Researchers led by Craig Venter, the most prominent figure in molecular biology last year, synthesized an entire bacterial genome. All the genetic instructions the cell needs to live and reproduce from laboratory chemicals. They also converted one species of bacteria into another through a genome transplant. The next step is to insert the artificial genome into an empty cell and boot it up, they call it, creating the world's first fully synthetic microbe. Dr. Venter said this turns out to be a much more complicated problem than we thought, but we know how to solve it. While his scientists at the J. Craig Venter Institute outside Washington, D.C. are aiming to build an existing organism from first principles, others are experimenting with artificial biology, unlike anything in nature. Researchers at the Foundation for Applied Molecular Evolution in Florida have created an alternative genetic code with synthetic DNA that has 6 chemical letters instead of the 4 letters of natural DNA. Isn't that amazing? The Nephilim are returning. Now, you recall in Genesis chapter 6, and by the way, there are many ancient writings who subscribe to this, that those sons of God who saw the daughters of men in Genesis chapter 6 were fallen angels, not the line of Seth, the godly line marrying the daughters of Cain. That's not what the Scripture says. And there are many sources in ancient Jewish writings who claim that they were fallen angels. I have no doubt that they were fallen angels. And from them, the genetic manipulation of the human race, they destroyed the ability for humans to produce the Messiah, all except for one man who was perfect in his generations. You guessed it. It was Noah. What do you mean perfect in his generations? He was not a perfect man. In fact, he got drunk after the flood. So what was it talking about? He was perfect in his genetic code. His DNA had not been disrupted. But the angels coming down and cohabiting with women created a genetic strain of mutants, giants they were called. And not only giant people, but back in those days, they had giant animals as well. I'm not talking just about dinosaurs. I'm talking about 10-foot-long badgers, 10-foot-long animals, or a buffalo that was 10 times as big as the buffaloes are today. It's coming back. This genetic manipulation is exactly what the fallen angels did to corrupt the genetic code, and that's the reason why Noah had to take all the animals that were genetically pure, and his family, who was genetically pure, aboard the ark, while the rest of the world was wiped out. This is going to happen again. According to the book of Revelation, we have, for example, in chapter 9, we have a star falling from heaven. His name is Apollyon, or Apollo, shall we say. And it's kind of interesting that Project Apollo is the government's project for the new healthcare system. So here we have Apollo bringing forth all these creatures that torment men for 5 months. Fascinating, huh? Listen to Revelation 16, verse 2. And the first went, these are the 7 angels that have the 7 vials of wrath. The first angel went, poured out his vial upon the earth. There fell a noisome and a grievous sore upon men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image. So some kind of disease is going to spread quickly around the world. I don't know what kind, but the Bible indicates that these will be severe during the days of the tribulation period. So, this genetically modified new life form that they're creating in the test tube may be the opening of Pandora's box, so to speak. Well, we have a book that we're offering this month in our magazine. It's on page 5 of our August magazine. It's called Cashless, and it's written by my good friend Dr. Mark Hitchcock. We've had him on our program a number of times. This is a brand new book that he's put out, and this book says that more than 1,900 years ago, the Bible predicted that one man, the coming Antichrist, would control the entire world's economy. How can this be done? We're moving quickly in that direction today to a one-world money. Today's worldwide financial chaos, global interdependency, and modern technology are all converging in such a way that a cashless society and a one-world economy are not only possible, but inevitable. And Dr. Mark Hitchcock answers these questions in this book. How is the stage being set for a cashless society? What technology will make this cashless society possible? How will the Antichrist control the world economy? What is the mark of the beast? And what is the significance of the number 666? All this is in the book. I hope you'll get it. I think you'll find it a fun read, a very important read anyway, so that you'll know how to cope with the financial situation as the world begins to unravel. And we don't know what the future holds, but I can tell you this: it doesn't look good. So get it today, will you? Call the phone number at the bottom of your screen and order this. It's $13.95, and Mark Hitchcock's book will be sent right out to you. We have them in stock. Order it from us, will you? And your gift, by the way, will help us to maintain our television ministry across the world. I'm J.R. Church. We'll see you again tomorrow with our analysis of the news.